taking that like final step of completely cutting out sugar is difficult, but it's worth the challenge, man. I think a lot of us, say we're eating healthy because occasionally we will say no, and occasionally we'll have a salad, but you honestly need to take a big step like this, of completely cutting it out. And that's actually when I was able to see the difference of.
Hello and welcome back to BTY with Michael, my best friend, and me as Daniel Hammond. We'll be your hosts for tonight. And today we're gonna speak about this topic of no sugar for 55 days. What happens? So, Michael, how have you been, man? Before we get into the video.
Yes, no, can't complain, man. I think this challenge that we've undertaken this year, the VTY 75 hard challenge, was a good one because the challenges challenged us in so many different areas. But the no sugar was actually the thing that I was looking forward to a lot, man. And I think it's been something that I'm just not sure why I didn't start doing this and implementing this as a lifestyle sooner. But it's been a cool challenge, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's been difficult. I would also say the most challenging part of this challenge was not partaking in sugar. Well, still is. I've got about 14 days left until I'm totally done with it. I know you started a day earlier, but yeah,
Mm.
it's been crazy. Funny enough, this is the longest period that I've been without sugar ever in my life in terms of sweets, lots of like cake and like all of the good foods that you can think about. But I've been able to do it. It's been hard, and there's definitely been things that I've noticed that's changed in my life because of not taking part in sugar or not consuming it on a daily basis. But yeah, man, I must say this has been a challenging occurrence that we've been on, and it's definitely showed us a lot of things about ourselves, and I look forward to taking part on some of like I look forward to taking part to similar challenges in the future. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the 75-day structure, but it could be in something else. And like you said, they making it a part of your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be for a certain time period, but these are actually changes that we can slowly implement in our life that we can do on a permanent basis. But looking forward to hearing how you've experienced not taking part in sugar for 55 days.
Yeah, so from my side, I think the first benefits that I noticed, and this is an obvious one, from what you would think would happen, but I definitely noticed a lowering of my body fat, and that is what I've been aiming to do. Actually, this year I was looking to cut down on the body fat. I've always sort of sat at around maybe like just over 20% body fat. It's at that point where you're not really looking unhealthy, but you don't have any definition on your muscles and that kind of thing. I think that's just the body type that I have. So for me to actually cut down on body fat and lose weight is something that I really have to like put some effort into, and it doesn't come so naturally. So yeah, implementing this challenge, what I noticed is that obviously I think my lifestyle before was not the most unhealthy. I wasn't going around. I try to stay away from chocolates and sweets like that because I was trying to stay healthy.
Yeah,
But what I realized by doing this challenge is how much sugar I was still eating despite that. So like, obviously everything I drank had to become sugar free. Obviously we were doing no alcohol, but I just mean like sugar free Coke and iced teas and all that kind of stuff. And mostly I was sticking to water wherever I could.
that's true.
And cutting out snacks. I think that's one big thing that I've managed to cut out over the last little while is basically not snacking at all.
Yeah,
And yeah, what that did for me was actually I've been able to see my body fat percentage lower quite a bit. I can see more muscle definition on my muscles. Obviously, my stomach has shrank a bit, so that's exactly what I was looking for from this challenge. So it's cool to see that in the 55 days, I've been able to notice that. I would say, you're only going to start to see that progress. For me, I only started to notice maybe after a month, like, whereas like, okay, I can actually see I'm looking a bit skinnier
Yeah.
here. Um, and now on the second month, it's looking even better. So I really want to keep it up. It is tough to keep it going for, such a long period of
Yeah.
time, without sugar completely, but those results kind of motivate me,
Mm.
And one other thing I've noticed, man, is that my skin has been better. As a whole, since I finished high school and entered into adulthood, I haven't had too many problems with bad skin, but occasionally I do have the odd like flare up of bad skin and acne. And I haven't had anything this whole year
Yeah, I
since
must
I've been on
say.
the challenge. I've hardly had to worry about my skin, man. So for me, that's been the biggest benefits. I'm keen to hear what it's been like on your side, man. What have you noticed that's become better since?
Yeah, so the weight loss is definitely evident. I've got a more skinnier body type. So where I've lost a lot of weight, I've noticed that my muscle mass has also gone down a bit. So I actually look forward to
I see.
finishing this challenge or doing more research into how I can keep up my muscle mass even if I don't consume sugar as much. But I'll have to see how that works out in the future. Though, yeah, I've gotten pretty skinny, bro. Like I've lost, like the other day I saw a picture where I went on a walk and then strangely enough, when I looked at the picture afterwards, I'm like, yo, but I've really got like thin and quite skinny. I've lost a lot of muscle, but also there's like a lot like more definition in terms of just like my abs are starting to show a bit more as well. So that's pretty cool because
So,
I've never really had that, but I've had like this skinny type. And I agree with the skin. My skin's also been way more clearer. But something that hit me from the get go was a lower energy level when I started this
mm,
challenge. And I
really,
actually needed to see how I could get my energy levels back up because I've got a pretty active lifestyle. I'm always out and about, and I just noted that
mm,
I got tired a bit faster than I would if I was consuming sugar in whichever form it was. Yeah,
mm,
so it is something that you need to get used to, but luckily I could after a bit. And then there's things like fruits that you can have on a daily basis. I even started enjoying
yeah,
dates, which I didn't before, like the dried dates. And I had a lot of
mm-hmm.
apples, pears,
You have to
bananas.
get the energy in that
Yeah,
way.
to get your energy in a different form. What I didn't
Mm,
stop consuming was bread, and I know bread does have a bit of sugar in. So you've got these products that do have sugar in, but it's something that you can't totally get rid of, otherwise you won't make it.
exactly.
So then another thing is also lower blood pressure and cholesterol that you can have once you start also not consuming sugar. But I would definitely recommend this challenge to someone that has been struggling to lose weight when they've been active, they've been going to the gym, they've tried to improve their diet. I would definitely say that once you stop consuming sugar, then you'll notice a difference in your weight and you'll
Mm,
lose a lot of fat as well. So if you
I
have
agree,
a
man.
lot of fat content on your body, then once you start with the no sugar thing, then it could be part of the 75-day challenge, or it could just be not consuming any sugar. You'll notice that your fat levels go down, but your muscles don't burn out as much. But if you've got a skinnier type, then it could be something that you need to look at more carefully. So, yeah, it's been an awesome challenge so far, man. And just to also see the level of self-discipline that you need to cultivate and that you need to practice on a daily
Literally, man.
basis. I don't know when you went into experiences of being tempted to consume sugar, maybe family members or friends were having a birthday cake or these sort of things. How were you able to abstain?
It's a good question, man. So I do have a couple of tips on like how to actually stick to the
Uh,
challenge. because I thought I would struggle with this one a bit more. But honestly, I was able to stay away from sugar and hardly really feel the temptation for a long time. So, and I think a big part of that was because I had a strong reason as to why I was doing
Mm,
this, and I had set that out clearly in my mind before
yeah.
starting. So I think when you do take on a challenge like this, you really have to convince yourself that this is what you want to do, and you commit to it for the next however long that you are doing it, man. And you have to be quite strict with yourself, but also, like you said, man, that you can't avoid sugar in every form, in terms of, unless you really do want to be that strict,
Mm,
like certain foods like bread and these things that actually turn into
the
sugar in your
staple
body
foods,
are
yeah.
hard to avoid. Exactly, man. But yeah, having a strong why will help you to get through those moments. But one other practical thing that I was doing, man, was I was actually, living by myself for the last few months. And so I was in control of what food was in the house. Um, if you live with your parents or if you live with other people, you might not have as much control over that because they might be buying unhealthy foods and
Yeah.
sweet snacks all the time, but I was actually able to control that. I think if you can do that, you really
Mm,
should, because obviously, if there aren't any sweets around, you can't cheat,
yeah.
and it's a lot harder to out to the store, buy a chocolate, and then come back home and feel guilty about it, Whereas if it's just like in the cupboard, you're like, oh, come on, it's right there. So I think that's some practical things that you can do. Is honestly just try and limit your exposure to it as much
Mm,
as possible. You won't be able to do it completely. Obviously, every time you walk down the food aisle, there's always these things on that are available to you. But I think limiting your exposure as much as possible helped me quite a bit,
yeah.
man. From your side, what did you find helped you get through those tough moments?
Yeah, so from my side, I've also noticed that I was able, because I had the strong why, to say no a lot more. So that is something that I also practiced while I was doing this challenge, is being able to say no to certain things and say no thank you when a chocolate was offered to me, or a packet of sweets, even if you feel that it might be impolite or rude, then you have a reason to actually say no, like I'm not gonna have, because I'm on this challenge. And what motivated me as well is just my competitiveness. I don't like to lose. So knowing that I went into this challenge, I really wanted to complete it, and I'm well en route for that. So that's one practical thing, is being able to say no and practice it. Then secondly, what I also did was, instead of having sweets, I would reward myself with something else. So I would look for alternatives that tasted
I see.
pretty well, but that weren't sweets. Like I said, fruits and all of these different things that you can still partake in without it needing to be sugar. I also leaned a lot more towards the savory snacks, such as like chips
Yeah,
and all of that. But like you mentioned a bit earlier, is also the fact that you started consuming water a lot more often. So that's something that I also did. And having someone to keep you accountable, being able to tell my parents no, like I'm
that's
not
good.
consuming sugar, and them being able to then monitor you, or then also try and change what they bought at home. But I must say, my mom, like she still bought a lot of sweets, and like one day she also brought me some sweets home from work, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't have this, so I'll need to give it away. So stuff like that, that definitely helped me. But bro,
Yeah,
it's crazy that since the start of this year, like we haven't had any sugar. That's like I couldn't even imagine it before, but like we've been able to do it.
yeah,
So it's also what you set your mind to, and challenging yourself. That's why it's called the 75-day hard challenge. You have to see how far you can go with this thing. So that's fun, man. And what would you say is a takeaway from having not had in what?
lovely stuff, man. I think that's a good question to wrap it up with, and I think honestly, the biggest takeaway for me from this is that taking that like final step of completely cutting out sugar is difficult, but it's worth the challenge, man. I think a lot of us, say we're eating healthy because occasionally we will say no, and occasionally we'll have a salad, but you honestly need to take a big step like this, of completely cutting it out. And that's actually when I was able to see the difference of, losing a few body fat percentages, and hopefully can continue in that way, man. And to answer the second part of that question, I definitely do want to keep this up. Once the 75 days wraps up of doing this challenge, I think I will, you know, probably like indulge a little bit, but I really don't want to like remove the progress I've made. I don't want to just go straight back into eating sugar and put that weight back on. So I definitely think that this is something I'll have to implement it as a lifestyle to sort of keep my body weight down. But obviously, I don't think I'm never going to consume sugar again. There might be some occasions where it calls for it, man. So yeah, I think that's been a cool conversation, man, to talk about what it's done for us. And it's interesting because we've never really spoken about diets on this channel. Obviously, it's not an area of expertise per se for us, but obviously now we've got some experience to talk from, man. And I gotta say, I underestimated how important like a diet is. You can exercise a lot, but if your diet is not good, you won't see as good results, So the diet plays a huge role, man. And hopefully this motivates you to take on a similar challenge, and in whatever form that looks like for you. You can start off by cutting it out for a week and seeing how that goes for you. But I think giving this a try and seeing the results for yourself, um, like I said, that takes maybe a bit more than a week. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Daniel, it's been great to have this conversation with you, man. Um, I've enjoyed the kind of content we've been putting out this year, man. We've been trying out a few different things. We've both been on busy schedules, but I think yeah, we're grateful as well that you guys have been enjoying the content that we've been putting out, and all the views and likes that we've been getting on the videos. So please do keep that up on this video. Please do give it a like and share it with someone who you think would need this challenge and would benefit from this video. And yeah, looking forward to more episodes like this in the future, man. Much love for BTY.